Welcome to the Princess Power Hour, where we show you how to go from pauper to powerful by transforming your health, your wealth, and your relationships. Here's the princess of podcasting herself, Natalie Thomas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have one of our favorite guests back on the show, and she is going to be telling us about her adventures, and it's Melissa Smith, and we are going to be talking about how to ditch the 9-to-5 to become a successful VA. That stands for virtual assistant. Now, before we talk about that, as always, I'm going to tell you about my lip color of the day. This beautiful color is Caramel Apple Diamond. And as we know, diamonds are a girl's best friend. And let me show you what is so fabulous about this lipstick, because not only is the color just so pretty, check it out. It is kiss-proof, it is smudge-proof, and it will last anywhere from 4 to 18 hours. You can grab that over at lipstickkissesandlove.com. You pick out a color and you pick out a gloss. You put on 3 light coats of the color and a coat of gloss. You can recoat the gloss throughout the day, but that color is going to last through your meals, through your talking, your drinking, and everything else in between. So I hope that you get to have a look at that. And Melissa, welcome. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's great.
Well, I'm so tickled that you took the time to be here. All right, let me tell everybody about you. Melissa Smith is the CEO of The PVA, a virtual assistant matchmaking and consultancy company. She's also the best-selling author of Hire the Right Virtual Assistant. She hosts the Admin to VA Summit and teaches an online class, The Essential Business Model for VAs online course. In 2017, Melissa became location independent, becoming a virtual nomad. I just threw that one in there for her. Visiting, living, and working in 16 countries in 12 months. So I can tell you that is an adventure I will be prying some out of her about. In her next book, Become a Successful Virtual Assistant, Learn the Business Side and Ditch the 9-to-5, will be released in early 2018. Melissa has been quoted in various publications, including Women's World, CareerBuilder, and Business Management Daily. Yay, Melissa, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
So you were a VA for a while, and you're not anymore. You've got all this other stuff going on. What period of time did you actually do VA work?
So I actually still do VA work. I keep one private client, but it's not the main portion of my business. When I first started out, being a VA was all I did, and I started in 2014.
Okay.
And over the years, it's evolved into so much more than that.
Yes, I guess so.
But I started out as a virtual assistant because my background was in executive assisting. And then after my husband passed away and I had moved from coast to coast and moved back home to California, and then I moved back to Georgia, but I left my company that I really loved working for. They were great. And they asked me, we don't want to lose you. How can we keep you? And I said, well, I could do most of what I do virtually. I don't have to be in the office. And they said, okay, let's do that. So I started out working remotely for my company, and within a couple months, new contracts were sent out. And I thought, I think this is my time. I think this is time for me to go out on my own. And if it's not now, it might be never. And I thought this is it. I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a business plan, and I strangely was not afraid, but I decided to go out on my own, and that's when I started my own company.
But you've replaced your income and you're self-sufficient. And
yes. I had probably small goals when I first started because it was so scary. And one of the things I just wanted to be able to do, one of my biggest goals was just to be with my family. I just wanted to be with my family whenever they needed me, whether that was to go see my son in college, to be home with my daughter, my nieces and nephew in California, whatever that looked like. I just wanted to be able to go and be with them without having to ask for time off. That was it. and, hopefully, make some money and enjoy a little freedom and flexibility. But then once I got that taste of freedom and flexibility, I thought, well, certainly there must be more. I gotta get more of this.
I know. I love it. Now, give people an idea for an average VA. Is an average VA working for only one client or more than one client?
The average VA has several clients. So a full client load for a VA, the average VA is about 5 clients.
Okay.
So if I'm an executive VA, I may tap out at 2 or 3 because their needs are much more and they usually want you to be on, and you can't give enough attention if you have too many of those type of clients.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do the type of work that is very project based, or you can really do it on your own time, it's not very email heavy, it's more project heavy and behind the scenes work, you're not like the face of the company or your client, then certainly you can have more clients. Then there's different types of ways to create more passive income rather than hourly income. So maybe if I build websites, or maybe if I do a lot of graphic work, I might have a upfront fee of, a flat rate, and then a retainer fee to go in every month and check out links or update sites, redo logos, projects for different types of specials. So like I have a VA and she does a lot of work for me, but then every time I'm going to be on a show or do a promo or I need a lead magnet, that's like send another email out. I'm like, I needed this, I need that. Can you create this? Can you create that? And so it's this ongoing. So there's lots of different ways to do it. But once you get up to say maybe 10 clients, you're most likely have your own team now, because you need that in order to support and make sure that the communication strategy is there. Okay.
So a VA that is just working on their own without a team, is this person working 40 hours a week, or just on their own terms of when they want to do it, or are they working less and making more?
So ideally, they're working less and making more.
Okay.
I would never suggest someone plan to work 40 hours a week, because if you plan to work 40 hours a week and make your income that way, you'll end up working 60 hours, 1.
Okay.
And 2, it doesn't create time for freedom and flexibility. Right? It doesn't create time to, do your grocery shopping in the afternoon, or pick up the kids from school, or take a yoga class, or be in your garden, or whatever that looks like to you. It doesn't plan for sick days and snow days, or other emergencies that come up in life. So you really need to plan for maybe a 25-hour or 30-hour work week.
Wow.
And then build your business from there. And then it also gives you the room to grow. If you're working 40 hours a week and you're like, I need to make more money, I want to get more clients, I want to expand this business, you don't have any room to grow. Because in order to do that, you're now going to be working 60 or 80 hours a week. So you need to think in terms of 25 to 30 hours a week to begin with.
I love that. And here on the Princess Power Show, I really try to encourage people to have their own businesses because of this freedom and flexibility, because of tax deductions. And I try to teach people about multiple streams of income. So I'm going to dig a little deeper here. And you mentioned the idea of, let's say somebody is doing websites. Would you recommend that somebody like that incorporate affiliate programs in? So say they are making money on the back end of the hosting, for example, something like that. Do you teach that to your VAs?
I don't necessarily teach affiliate, because there's a lot that goes on with that. It's a one-on-one conversation that I'll have. Because in order to do affiliates properly, you have to be very transparent. So most people that do affiliates forget to tell people that I'm doing this. And then if the customer or client finds out, it seems like, well, is this really the right program for me? Or is she just doing this because now she's making money off that too?
That's such a good point.
Which is, it's not a problem if that's the best program, but you need to tell your clients, hey, I'm an affiliate for, let's say, Constant Contact. And here's why I would choose Constant Contact over, say, MailChimp. You have to make the argument, you have to give the facts, and then you have to provide the preference. And ultimately, you have to let the client know why you believe it's the best win for them and not for you. But as far as the, different types of income streams coming in, I actually loved one of your quotes that I saw in the group. And an income stream, I forget the exact words, but it's not a drip. It's one source of revenue is not an income stream. It's a drip. Something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I love that. That's so perfect.
Thank you.
So when I talk about when you grow your business, so you start in this one niche, but niching isn't forever. It's just for now. So you start there, and then you find out what's valuable to your clients, what's valuable to other people, and then you can start going from there. Because where you grow, you don't want to back yourself into another corner and say, well, I was working 25 hours a week. Now I'm working 45 hours a week and making more money, but I don't have more freedom and flexibility.
Yes.
So the income streams also have to be more passive, take less of your time, not more.
Yes.
And not require as much follow-up work. So my consulting work isn't the same as my writing or my working with client work. It's much easier. It's much different. There's not a lot of prep for me. There's not a lot of follow-up. It's a lot of conversations. But when I'm done with the conversation, until the next call, we're pretty much done here. When I do online classes, it's the same. It's the same information. We can go through it over and over again. It's it's just duplicating.
Duplicatable.
Yeah.
What I love and what I love to teach is that as entrepreneurs, we're willing to put time into something, but the goal is to put time into something that is going to make you money, whether you're working or you're not working. I love that I make money when I sleep. You make money when you sleep. And this is the thing that we want to encourage people toward, to have that freedom and flexibility. Now, last year, the majority of the year, I worked very, very hard putting new things together. I also did a wedding. I also did a move. There was a lot of intensity to my year. Do you want to know what I did today? Today was the epitome of freedom and flexibility. I got up, looked at my schedule. I had the show with you scheduled. I painted a bathroom, took a nap. I'm doing the show, and the rest of my day is freedom and flexibility, and I can just choose the things that I love to do. Now, are there other days that I have to do more work? Absolutely. But it's so great to have a Friday that, my time with you, which is, the highlight of my day.
Yes. Same for me. After this is the end of my day. I'll do some packing later on. I'm going to make a trip out to California for 2 weeks. So, but like you, last year, I knew I was going to be putting in a lot of hours because I was creating brand new projects, brand new things. I was writing a new book, but I decided, if I'm going to work that hard and put in that many hours in a year, I'm going to do it while traveling the world. I'm not going to do it from home. I'm not going to put all those hours in at home just to go out right outside my own door.
Tell everybody about that adventure, okay? 16 countries in 12 months. They've got to hear about this. There are some people. I had some little 26-year-old. He was coming here trying to sell me an insurance policy yesterday, which I am buying. But he's trying to build that company. It takes quite a while to build an insurance, about 5 years, and he wants to travel, but he doesn't think that's possible. And I told him you were coming on the show and what a wonderful adventure that you had. And, so he's going to start listening to the show and share it with his girlfriends. So tell everybody about your adventure.
Yeah. And just so you know, I have a client. I just spoke with him today. He has a virtual insurance agency. So, he's growing it, but it's a virtual insurance agency. But yeah, so I traveled last year with a company called WeRoam. And there was about 30 of us at any given time, and we paid them to set up our lodging, our workspace accommodations, professional development, travel in between countries, and then our expenses were the day-to-day, things that we'd pay for at home anyways, and maybe other excursions. And I decided to do it with them because, one, I don't enjoy planning my own travel.
I don't either. I love to travel, but I don't like to plan it.
Yeah. And I like the idea of having this built-in community. I really believe in shared experiences. So while I was working a lot, it was great to just hop on the Slack channel and, there's 3 or 4 invitations a day saying, who wants to get lunch? Anyone up for dinner? I'm going to take a trip this weekend. Does anyone want to go check out this cool place that's in town? And so that was really a big push for me. I loved the professional development. I made some really great friends along the way, learned about different cultures and companies, which is very applicable to my work in remote work consulting. And then just really found out what it was like to work in all these different countries, different time zones, different continents. And there were times where it was just as glamorous as it sounds. And there were times where you would think, what in the world is she doing? Because it was not glamorous, but it was a good experience. And I would not take it back for anything. But it was, I found that my sweet spot was 6 hours ahead of Eastern time zone. I really love being 6 hours ahead of Eastern time zone.
Okay.
Because I could get up in the morning, I could go running, do all my work, take siestas, start my calls in the afternoon, do calls until 10 o'clock at night. And then at 10 o'clock at night, dinner's just getting started and people are just, heading out, and depending on what country. And I was in Europe at the time. So it was really great. I thought this is perfect for me. And not all the countries were perfect for me in that way.
Well, let's talk about some unglamorous experiences. What was something that maybe you wouldn't want to repeat?
So I would say my last country was Bali, and it's known as this really amazing tropical paradise, and so romantic and amazing. And I was there during December, which is rainy season.
Okay.
Not as great. Also, I was working graveyard hours because Bali's 13 hours ahead of Eastern time.
Okay.
So also not that great. The mosquitoes ate me alive, which is a personal thing. They don't eat everyone alive. Mosquitoes eat me alive. So that was a place that I was shocked. I'm not in a rush to go back to, but my experience there is not, the definition. There's other people that were just so in love with Bali. They can't wait to go back and experience it. But we were living like locals in each country that we went to. So this was also not a resort experience as well. None of the places that we were resort type of experience. It was living like locals and nomads in each country that we went to. So that was a country that I'm not in a rush to go back to. And I was also a little surprised that I didn't like it as much as I thought I would.
Okay. Now, were you sharing housing at all during this experience? Sometimes
we shared housing. We had roommates. We never shared rooms, but we might share an apartment together. I actually enjoyed sharing an apartment. It was really great. I became closer with the girls I was sharing an apartment with. I'm still friends with all of them. But out of 12 months, I think I only shared an apartment 3 or 4 times.
Oh, okay.
So in Bali, I had my own studio.
Oh, okay. Okay. And everybody, you're told, when you're going to get up and move to this new location, and you probably know like the whole year in advance, everything, when it's going to happen. Yes? Or
yeah. So we had the whole itinerary planned out from the beginning. And then as far in advance as we could, we would know the travel dates. We might not know the flight numbers and things yet, but we would know the travel dates because it is very flexible. So if you wanted to stay longer or you wanted to go to a different country before moving on to that, you could use like a flight credit in order to do that. So when I was in Belgrade, I went to Dubai first before going.
And we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Have you ever thought about what having your own podcast could mean for you and for your business? Well, I can tell you it's been absolutely life-changing for me, and it's the funnest thing I do in my business week. Every week, I look forward to my guests and the connections that it creates, the things that I learn from them, and the exposure that I've gotten for my businesses. So I want to encourage you, if you've thought about it, if you want to think about it, go over to The Expert Podcast Academy and check out my website. I've got a new course for you, and it's fun, it's fast, it's interesting, it's simple. Sometimes people are thinking about it and they have no idea what steps to take. I walk you through all the difficult things. I make it easy for you. And over on my website, you can get a free PDF. There's a free webinar that helps you understand the benefits. So go check it out, the Expert Podcast Academy. We are back with today's special Princess Power Hour guest.
To Thailand. And because the flight that we were taking as a group to go to Thailand stopped in Qatar, I could stop in Dubai for 4 days and then make my transfer over to Thailand. And it didn't cost me a dime.
Wow.
So it was a way for me to get like an extra country in without traveling with the group. And I was able to use that. As long as you can plan in advance, that was something very common that we did throughout the trip. So while we know when travel day is, they tell us well in advance, when the vans are picking us up, what time we're going to be at the airport, luggage weight, all those things are laid out. It's still, our choice. We're all adults, and we just communicate with the team leads about what our plan is and what we plan on doing, so they know not to look for us if we're not there.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a very good thing. Well, we're going to take a real quick commercial break, and we are going to be right back talking to Melissa Smith about escaping the 9-to-5 as a virtual assistant. Melissa, this is just fascinating. I love this. And this is just right in the sweet spot of what I want to teach people. I think that even when we have kids, we can still have flexibility in our life. And when we do have kids, let's say somebody's not traveling around the world, there are days that kids are sick. There are days that the school, has a minimum day, something like that. And it is so much better if a mom can be available to her children rather than having to hurt that employer relationship to cut their hours. And I know for me, when I was having staff in an office, it's really hard when the receptionist, who is the face of the company out there in the front office, has to be gone. And I know I need flexibility. I wanted to be flexible for them, but it did, come with a certain cost. So
yeah, the client who I was just speaking about earlier, he runs a virtual assistant or a virtual insurance agency, and he has 5 kids. So the last time we spoke on the phone before today, they were expecting a big snowstorm and school was letting out early, and he was going around getting the kids and picking them up and taking them home and make sure everyone was safe inside. And, imagine if he was at an office or had these other things and he couldn't pick up and go back to work later. So, my kids are older now, but for me, I thought it was really great to be home while my daughter was in high school. I was kind of like her security blanket because, kids come and go and they just kind of check in with you. Can I go? Can I not go? That sort of thing. You never know when they're going to want to have that opportunity to open up and speak or tell you they had a rough day and, things are happening. And I just wanted to be available for whenever that might happen. And if I needed to go out and be with my other family, I wanted to do that without putting my work on hold. And the same with last year. I wanted to travel, but I was not willing to put my business on hold. Right. And I didn't have to. And I think it's about not having to make those choices.
Now, I'm going to assume that part of this team that you were with WeRoam, they guaranteed that you were going to have internet service. That was a part of the whole thing. Yes.
Yes. So we had internet service. There were times where it was a bit spotty. Different countries were different, but I think that kind of goes with, wherever you are at in the world. I was in New York last week and the hotel had horrible internet.
Really?
Yeah. It was terrible. I had to get out of there to, go downstairs to the Starbucks to have better internet. And I was paying for it too. So there are different types of bandwidths that you can have. I can tell you, as far as bandwidth in Bali, the co-working space we had there was amazing.
Oh, really? Amazing. Okay.
They had fabulous internet. In fact, even when the power went out, we didn't even know because it was never an interruption in the internet.
Really?
It was that good. It wasn't until I went home back to my studio and I thought, what's going on? They're like, oh, the power's out. I'm like, really? They're like, oh yeah, it's been out all day. I'm like, interesting. Like,
wow, that's awesome. I know that I did a Tony Robbins thing. This is a number of years back and it was one of his longer events. And I flew from Miami to the Bahamas and got there one day before Hurricane Sandy, only to find out that the rooms didn't have internet in the first place. And the only place that did have internet was a Palapa. And of course I had work to do. And so there I was in the middle of a hurricane trying to do work in a Palapa. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, but I survived it. I had to stay 5 extra days and was separated from my ex-husband at the time, and we were working together, and, of course he was never happy about anything. So he wasn't going to be happy about that. I still am baffled why anyone would build a airport below sea level. They had to, wait till the dead fish were cleared and the water was cleared. And so I don't think I'll visit the Bahamas again. that one wasn't on top of my favorite list. No. That was my first hurricane. So how do you usually get your clients? When you first started out being a VA, where did you connect with people?
So that's the number one question new VAs have is, where do I find my clients? Well, my very first client was someone that I knew, someone that I used to work for.
Okay.
So I always say, look in your own network. Who do you know right now? Most people assume that since they posted out on Facebook or on LinkedIn or, had an email sent out, that this is what they're doing now. They're going to be a virtual assistant and they're looking for clients that everyone knows. Mm-hmm. Because you put it on social media, right? Like that's telling the world. Mm-hmm. But that's not really how it works.
Okay.
So then when people say, hey, how are you doing? How you been? They're like, oh, I'm fine. But they rarely say, I'm doing really well. I just started my own virtual assistant company. Here's what I'm doing. Do you know anyone that I could be of service to? They're really uncomfortable saying that. They think it's so salesy. They think it's like, oh, I don't want to push myself on anybody. Like, people don't know unless you tell them. I mean, the lifespan of a tweet is 2 seconds? People's attention span is about, 22 seconds, 8 seconds or something. Goldfish have longer attention spans than people do now, according to, research. So you probably already know your clients. So first, look there, and that's where I was looking. And then after I really discovered what my niche was. So my niche when I was virtual assisting was helping aspiring authors to launch their books. So I served as their project manager over a multitude of things and just created some space in their day so they had time to write and had time to stay on task. And I would take care of all the other not little things, but all the schedule that went along with it. So we had this timeline. I would research editors and book formatters, Amazon, the graphic designers, all these things so that everything kept moving along. And that became my niche.
And then did you put it in an executive summary for them or just give them links to the research that you had done? Or how did you distill that information for them?
So we had a Excel spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. And as we would move through, we created a timeline. And so I knew by this date, we would have to have determined who our graphic designer was. This was the time we needed to start editing. This was the time that it needed to be formatted. This when it was go up on Amazon. So we set the launch date and then worked backwards from that.
Okay.
And that's because if you just go from where you are now, you'll drag it out forever. But, if you set the launch date and then work backwards and then you line people up, you're much more likely to meet those deadlines. And, if something happens and you have to push it out a week or two, it's not the end of the world. But if you don't set a deadline date, chances are you're never going to have a deadline.
That makes sense.
So I was meeting people in author groups and writing groups, book groups. I would go to local events and get out and meet people. And that's how I transferred into virtual assistant matchmaking, because my niche wasn't for everybody, even if they were, if they seemed to be my ideal client on the surface because they were authors. but they may need something more technical that I couldn't assist them with. So I tell them about virtual assistants and what we do and how we could help them. And at the end of the conversation, they would say, well, that sounds really great, but where does one find such a person? And I thought, I know tons of people. So I'd make introductions that way. And a year later, it finally dawned on me. I thought, I wonder if someone will pay me to do this.
I love it.
And so that's how I came to become a virtual assistant matchmaker. So I talk about it in my book. I'm like, if you are constantly running into the same person that is not your client, that's your client finding you. You don't know it yet. But if you keep on running into the same person, your client is finding you. They see something in you that you don't even see yet. And probably because it's so easy for you that you don't think about it.
You don't see the value in it. I love that. I connected with somebody yesterday. He's a chiropractor. We started out, I'm teaching podcasting now, and he was interested in that, but he's not ready for it. And he's referring people things that he uses frequently on Amazon. And I'm like, well, are you, using affiliate links? No, I haven't taken the time to set that up. So I referred him to somebody that can, set that up for him. But at the same time, he's like, but how can I work with you? I want to work with you. And it's like, well, when you're ready for podcasting, I'm available for that. But it was fun. He liked the energy, and, I was able to give him some ideas and stuff, and that was fun.
Yeah. Finding your clients is really as simple as going where they are, either online or in person. If I want a hamburger and fries, I know exactly where I'm going to get that. Now, some people might go to McDonald's, some people might go to Burger King, some people may say, oh no, I'm going to a restaurant, I'm going to this place downtown, I'm going to Five Guys. But everyone has their own reason for going there. So when someone is not specific enough to know who their client is, that's when it becomes, well, I don't know where my clients are. They're everywhere. No, because I could love hamburger and fries, but I might be the kind of person that would never set foot in a McDonald's. So it's not the same. I tell the VAs, be so clear that you could put your client's name on a Coke can.
Ah, okay.
You'll know exactly where they hang out. You'll know exactly where they shop. You know exactly when they spend their money, and you'll know why. You'll know why they find it valuable. It's different. I'm a boots person. I'm not a shoe person. I'm a boots person. So I might spend more money on boots, but I would never spend tons of money on tennis shoes or sneakers. That's not who I am. So that if someone's targeting that client, just a person who likes shoes, that's not clear enough. You have to get really, really specific.
Wow. Okay. So as a VA matchmaker, you have people coming to you obviously from both sides, people who need VAs and then people that are VA wanting somebody. How would somebody reach out to you to work with you?
So people reach out to me in a variety of ways, whether through my book, through email, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, however they want to get a hold of me. It's really about their communication strategy. And how they get a hold of me lets me know a little bit about them. So if someone reaches out to me on Facebook, I know that they're on Facebook a lot. If they reach out to me on email, right? I know it's email. Some people will pick up the phone, and I know that this is the kind of communication strategy they're going to want. They're going to want to talk on the phone, and then they're probably going to want to do a video chat. So I make myself available for all different ways to communicate with others, because that's their communication strategy, and that will help me identify what type of person they're going to need to be working with in the future, and what's going to be beneficial for them, and also what platforms they're on, what they're using.
Well, what period of time do they usually engage you for?
So my clients, I match them with VAs in about 21 business days. It can be less, it can be a little bit more. It really just depends on their schedule when they're able to get the interviews done. It takes me about 7 days to run through all the interviews. I narrow it down to 2 or 3 candidates, and then I set up the interviews for my clients. They get back to me and let me know who they want to work with. And that entire process takes about 21 business days. Then for the next 3 months, I work with them a few times during that period to set up a 12-week strategy with their VA and then send that over to the VA. So they're not actually getting more work from me, but I'm taking the information from them and then I'm sharing it with their VA so that the next 3 months are planned out. So after the 21 days, they still have me for another 3 months to work with them and make sure that things are going well, things are progressing, and the expectations have been set properly. For VAs, it just depends. So my one-on-one consulting is 3 months, and then my online classes are 8 weeks.
Okay. And then can you talk a little bit about what salary range VAs are charging for the clients that they're working with? Is there an hourly rate, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the way that VAs charge and the way they make money is different across the board. So there are a couple, I would say, baselines. So if I'm a general admin VA, so I am not the face of my client, I'm not their executive VA, it's going to be about 25 to 35 an hour. And they may do packages, they may do retainers, you could bundle them, some hours may transfer over. That depends. If I'm an executive VA, you're going to expect to pay more in the range from 35 to 55 an hour. I've seen it above that, but that's an executive VA. For anything more technical, it's about $60 an hour. Now, when it comes to how much time people are actually hiring a VA for, that's where they get a little nervous because they're thinking 15, 20 hours in their mind. The average person only needs about 5 hours a week to start out with a VA.
Really?
It's only about 5 hours a week. If you're hiring someone for more than that, it's really rare. It's just really rare. It's very possible to grow and move up to like that 10-hour range. But rarely does someone need a VA for 15 or 20 hours a week. It's very rare. And when they do, they usually have multiple businesses, and the businesses are earning in the mid six figures at least. And they have a lot of different funnels coming through.
Okay.
So, when people say, "Oh gosh, that's so much for like so little time," like don't be overwhelmed by that. And if you are looking for someone for a larger amount of time, there's always room to negotiate. So I love having a flat rate for anything technical. So if I'm going to go to someone and they're going to build my website, and this was a real true thing, I interviewed all these VAs, and some charge by the hour, and I really didn't want to charge. I didn't want anyone to charge by the hour because I felt like if you really know what you're doing, you should know, like, this is what it's going to take to turn it around. This was what's going to cost you. And here's when it's going to be done. And I hired the most wonderful VA. It was $1,500. She did everything. She transferred everything over. She set it up beautifully. Anytime someone works on the back end of my website, they're like, I love that you have these things in place. Like, whoever did this did a great job. And is it possible that it could have been done for less? Like, I don't know, maybe. Was it worth it to me? Was it every penny worth for $1,500? Absolutely. Because I did nothing. I told her my expectations. I didn't really know what I wanted to look like. I just know what I didn't want it to look like.
Right.
I told her all the stuff that needed to be done. I'm non-technical, so she sent me videos of how to change things on the back end when I needed to change things if I didn't want to go back to her and use her services. I mean, it was all inclusive. It was done before it was meant to be done. She had set up my landing pages for the pre-release of my book. I mean, everything was taken care of. It was brilliant.
I'm a delegator. I'm a big user of VAs. I have a girl now that I have engaged for 10 hours a week, and she actually teaches college, and she teaches English in college, but it's not enough money for her. So, her side hustle is a VA, and she does my LinkedIn. And I was doing my own LinkedIn briefly. It was exhausting for me. You have to scroll down, find the message, reply to the person, and then it takes everything to the top, and you have to scroll all the way down again to, and it was taking me hours and just draining my energy. And to be able to hand that off to somebody else, that she does a great job. She tells me how many messages she sent out every day. And, she gets it done, and I'm thrilled with her. And I'm just so happy to spend the money for me to not have to spend that time.
Yeah. I, when people say, well, what should I be giving away? And I say, well, what is really draining you? What is not a good use of your time? Just because, maybe you enjoy doing it doesn't mean that you should be doing it. But for me, I give away anything that takes away from my personal time. So I respond to every email. I respond to every message. I respond to all my LinkedIn, like all those things. I read as many articles as I can.
You do your own LinkedIn, really?
Yes. Because while I'm on LinkedIn, I also read all the clients I have, if they've published an article, if they've been quoted somewhere. Mm-hmm. I want to know where they're quoting, what publications they're in now, if they've just done the latest podcast, so I can follow up and send cards, and I can quote or comment on it and like it. I can stay very present. I can stay personal. I mean, that's my whole branding. That's my whole image. So it doesn't make sense. So everything else, anything that takes away from me being able to be personal and take a call or be online or answer my own email, someone else gets it. I don't care what it is.
Wow. Okay. Can't get a VA to paint your bathroom, though.
No.
But for me, honestly, the remodeling stuff is my joy. I love that. That re-energizes me. And I'm doing a budget remodeling DVD, actually, because that's the stuff that I treat myself with. It's if you get this other stuff done that really is work, that maybe it's not as much fun, when you're done, you get to go do that. So I'm painting my bathroom this amazing pearlescent metallic color that just delights my soul, and when you start seeing the transformation, so yeah, it's funny. It's different for different people, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, anything that's DIY is no. I'm not a
creativity DIY in it. So.
But my sister, when she helped me decorate my last house in California, and she had her own drill. I'm like, you have your own drill? She's like, yeah, you never know when you're going to need it. And, she's hanging up pictures. And I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out right now.
Since I moved into this house, I definitely had my own drill, my own jigsaw. Now I have the tile saw, which previously for my last remodel, I borrowed from a girlfriend who's amazing. I have, the chop saw to cut the wood. I put in my own wood floors, girl. I just finished changing out the ugly white wood stair spindles for the wrought iron ones. And, the splurgest weirdo thing I bought was the saw that cuts the wood the long ways to trim the depth of it. So yeah, I'm hooked. I don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff when I'm done. I mean, I had to buy an air compressor. I already owned an air compressor. It was on the moving truck, and I wanted to get the project done before the other one got here. I use that one for my business when we repair the water ionizers. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do with all this stuff, but I've got it. So I've got the nail gun. I've got 2 nail guns. I've got the flooring nail gun, and I've got the trim nail gun. So yeah. But when you count the amount of money that I saved over having this stuff installed, and I really had fun doing it. It's like I love every board in my floor now because I put it there, so, and it's amazing. I've learned all kinds of things, like, what colors of wood floor show up the dust, and the ones that, you can ignore it for weeks and it still looks clean. Like, I love that. That's my favorite, right?
Yeah.
Well, girl, you have to tell everybody how they can reach you, because some of our listeners only listen on iTunes and Stitcher and stuff like that. They're not on our website. We're going to put all your contact information on our website and on YouTube, but they need to be able to hear it for the podcast people.
Sure. I'd love for your listeners to contact me. My email is melissa@thepva.com. My website is thepva.com. And you can search me on Facebook, The Personal Virtual Assistant. I'm on LinkedIn, Melissa Smith, The PVA, Twitter, @The PVA. You can find me on Pinterest, Melissa Smith, The PVA. And you can find my books on Amazon.
Is the new book out?
The new book is out. It's ready to go, and it comes with a complimentary workbook as well. So I'm very excited about that. And so you can search on Amazon. They're both there as well.
Yay, congratulations. That is awesome. Well, I am so excited for you. And you are going to be traveling the United States this year instead of Europe. So that's a new adventure for you as well.
Yes, I plan to stay at some co-living, co-working spaces through a company called Outsite. And I've stayed with them a couple times before in Santa Cruz and loved it. And so now I'm looking forward to taking part in their other locations all over California. They have a new location in Brooklyn. I'll be in Hawaii in April, so they have a location there. And then hopefully this summer I'll get down to maybe like Costa Rica, or maybe if they open Portugal soon, maybe I'll go to Portugal.
Oh, neat. Well, we'll look forward to having you back next year so you can tell us all about it. I did Costa Rica last year, stayed at 2 different resorts and had an amazing time, but it was amazing that both resorts were the same brand, had the same restaurants, and, maybe a 4-hour driving difference, but it was a different experience between the two of them. So you never know, but I remember the fireflies and the monkeys. We had monkeys come to our room. So that was a lot of fun. Didn't get to see the parrots, but saw the monkeys. So, well, girl, thank you for taking time to be on the show. We so appreciate it. And to our listeners, we thank you for listening, for your support. We ask you, if you got value out of this show, to please share it, like, and comment. We just appreciate it so much. So everybody, we just wish you a wonderful day and good luck with your businesses and good luck with yours, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
All right. We're tickled to have you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Princess Power Hour with Natalie Thomas. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit princesspower.com or on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter at @PPPrincessPower. Until next time, work smarter, not harder. Have a question for your host of Princess Power Hour, Natalie Thomas? Contact us at www.princesspower.com or tweet us at @PPPrincessPower.